Hey guys, glad you stopped by. So today I thought we'd do a really easy, but not easy, but it's a great introduction to custard. And these are a vanilla custard square. 3 layers. One's the graham cracker crust, then we'll have the vanilla custard, and then a layer of homemade whipped topping. On top of that, it's a fairly quick to put together, but you have to let it sit in the fridge to firm up its custard. But I think it's going to be a very flavorful dish. Not made this before, like most of the stuff here, doing it for the first time, which is great. Yeah, I had a person ask me one time, how can I do something, teach somebody something that I've never done myself. The rules of baking, much like cooking, are kind of the same no matter what you're doing. There are always some nuances to it, but especially something like this. This is basic, not easy, but basic, and it's a good introduction to something like custard. So it's something that I can show you to do, and with time and practice, you just kind of get the flow of things, which is always awesome. But I think this is going to be a good one. It sounds great. Things you will need to do right off the rip is go ahead and get your oven preheating to 350 degrees. We've got a 9x9 pan, and if you have one that's non-stick, I'm going to say you probably don't have to butter it, but if yours is not a non-stick, I would butter it or give it some spray, just in case. But yeah, so if you're new, first time around, hope you get something out of this video. Maybe check out some of the other 500 plus videos that we got on the channel, and get something out of those also. If you are returning or one of our new subscribers, welcome back and thank you. That is much appreciated. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That's always important. Keeps us out in the algorithm. We're trying very hard to get up to 5,000 this year. I don't know if it's going to happen. I made some changes to the channel that slowed things really down in the algorithm, and I'm okay with that to some extent. This channel didn't start out being and has never been like my sole income. I do this for fun. It'd be nice if it was my sole income, but it's not. But liking, subscribing, and sharing, will help us grow all the same, and that's the important thing. But I will also give you all your measurements in cups, tablespoons, teaspoons, and cups, tablespoons, teaspoons, also in grams and milliliters. That way, no matter where you're at, we can play along. Comments always welcome. All I ask, be nice. It's okay to disagree, just think before you type, right? So, that being said, why don't we head on down here to the counter and we're going to get started on this vanilla custard, on these vanilla custard squares. Hold on for me just one second. All right, so got our oven heating up. We're almost to 350, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get the crust together. Now, with the graham cracker crust, yeah, I'm assuming you probably don't have to bake this. You could do just like we did last week and put it together, put it in the fridge. But this recipe suggested you bake it, so we're going to. That's the only thing we need the oven for. So in my bowl, I have got 185 grams. It's 12 graham crackers, and the whole stick of 4 each, or a cup and a half of graham cracker crumbs if you're buying the pre-made crumbs. To this, I'm going to add a half a cup or a quarter cup, 50 grams of granulated sugar, just regular granulated sugar, and then I'm going to follow that up with a third of a cup. That's like 5 1/3 tablespoons or 75 grams worth of unsalted butter, melted. Go ahead and get that in there, and then I'm going to use my hand, my gloved hand, but you could just as easily use a spoon, a spatula, food processor, whatever you like to go ahead and mix this together with. Now the graham crackers, as you saw, they are in crumbs. I just used my food processor to do that real quick. Now you could also use a Ziploc baggie and a mallet for that matter, or a rolling pin. All right, so we got our butter evenly dispersed into our graham crackers and sugar, and to check it, you want to be able to grab it, squeeze it, it should form a ball. Right now, if you squeeze it and butter comes pouring out the bottom, you probably got a little too much butter. If you squeeze it and it just falls apart like that, you don't have enough. And it's kind of like making pie crust. It will vary on the dryness of your graham crackers, humidity, things, so on and so forth like that. So you may have to add a little more butter or take, not add as much. It will really just depend, but 5 1/3 tablespoons or 1/3 of a cup or 75 grams is a good place to start. So anyhow, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our graham crackers mix and we're gonna put it in our 9x9 sheet, 9x9 pan. And I was thinking really you could probably just use a deep dish pie pan if you don't have a 9x9 square. And I think it would serve the same purpose. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get these graham crackers down here in the bottom. We'll get them pressed in real good. Okay, so we are pressed in, and you'll see people use flat bottom cups, bowls, whatever to press their graham crackers in. I don't. I just use my hand. And I heard a million people go, "Oh, you got to press it in tight." As I was learning to bake, and you're right, you do, but you can also get it there with the weight of your hand. But there we are. So now we're going to put this in our oven at 350 degrees. That's 180 degrees Celsius, and we are going to let that bake for 10 minutes. But you want to keep an eye on it. It may be a little more, a little less, depending on your oven. But you're just looking for a nice golden brown on your graham crackers. Okay, so we got our graham cracker crust out of the oven. Go ahead and shut it off. I want to show it to you real quick. We gotta let it cool, but there, see how it's got a little darker in color than it did, and then it's got a nice golden brown along the edges. That's what you're kind of looking for. So now we want to let this sit and cool completely, which shouldn't take long, about 20 minutes. But while that's cooling, because it's going to take about 20 minutes, we're going to go ahead and start our custard filling. So I've got a small sauce pot right here, about 1.5 quart sauce pot, and it's heavy bottom. It's cast iron. So, and you want something that's heavy bottom. Even if you don't own cast iron and you just buy regular saucepans, if you're able, I get it otherwise, but if you're able, buy a better pot or pan. Something with a heavy bottom, that way it distributes even heat. That's what you're looking for. You get the cheaper ones, they don't distribute even heat, and you can end up burning one spot and not the other. It can just be a mess. But anyhow, enough of the what to buy circuit. Pan or pot, sauce pot, and in this I'm going to add 1 cup 240 milliliters of heavy whipping cream, which would be the same stuff you make whipped topping out of. And I am going to add 2 cups 480 mil of just regular whole milk. They don't necessarily have to be at room temperature, but it will help with this because we want to bring this up to a simmer, not a boil, just a nice simmer. So while that is simmering, we can, sorry about that. Has anybody else ever noticed that liquids, when you have them in a cup, you always end up with a bunch that comes back down to the bottom? Every measuring cup I have does that. It's weird. So while that's heating up, in this bowl I've got 5 large egg yolks, which I don't know if you can see or not, but they're in there, and it's just the yolks, no whites. And I'm gonna go ahead and get those just kind of broke up, so you got one big yolk sitting in the bottom there. And then to that, I'm gonna add 3/4 of a cup, 150 grams worth of granulated sugar, more sugar because you can never have enough sugar. And then I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons, 8 grams of vanilla. And we are gonna put in 3 tablespoons, 27 grams of cornstarch. I'm gonna get that in there. And we're gonna go ahead and get this whisked together real quick. All right, we got this whisked together, just like such. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna wait for this to get up to its simmer, and then we're gonna combine the two by tempering it. Okay, so our milk is just about there. It's pretty much there, but I want to show you the things I'm looking for. Because milk can be kind of weird. Milk and heavy cream can be kind of weird when it comes to heating up. So, but what you don't want to do is you don't ever want to walk away from it because it can get out of hand quickly. But if you look along the edges there, you'll see some bubbles starting to pop up. And if you look real carefully, see how it looks like it's moving right there? Because we're getting a skim coat on it. So what it's doing is it's moving underneath that skim coat. You do want to stir it on occasion. But when you got that movement like that and the bubbles along the edge there, plus it's steaming. I don't know if you can see that, but those are the things I look for to know that my dairy, whether it be milk, heavy cream, or in this case, combination of both, are ready to rock and roll with the rest of the crowd, so to speak. Oh, I got so much stuff sitting here. If you are new to my channel, you have seen my entire kitchen. You are literally 6 inches off the back wall in the window. So, it's kind of small, got a lot of stuff gathered up right around there. But anyhow, so what we're going to do is, I'm not going to turn that off, so to speak, but I'm going to move it off the heat a little bit. And I'm going to take a half cup, I'm going to actually take 2, and I'm going to do what's called tempering. And you want to stir your eggs while you're dumping the milk in. And the reason why you want to do this is A, so you don't scramble your eggs, but it slowly brings the eggs up to the temperature of the milk, so that way you don't scramble your eggs when we put them in there. So now what I'm going to do, now that I've got that in there and looking good, yeah, and nothing scrambled that I can see, so we're in good shape because we stirred. Now if you do have, let's say it does scramble some of the eggs, yeah, you get little slivers of egg in there, it's okay, just run it through a strainer as you're putting it back in with your milk. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start stirring my milk as I put the egg mix in here, just like that. And I'll switch over to my spoon. So I don't really want to use a metal whisk on this pot because it's got a ceramic interior and metal will scrape up or scratch up that ceramic. We don't want that. So now we'll go ahead and I'm going to stir this, keep stirring it because you get the cornstarch in there, and cornstarch has a tendency to drop, but we want to keep maybe not an amazingly fast stir on this, but we're going to just stir it slow and steady, and you'll see it start to bubble and thicken. And when that happens, we can talk about what we're going to do next. All right, so you can see, I wanted you to get down here so you can see it. See how we're bubbling and we're thickening it up. I'm gonna make this just a little bit thicker, and then we're gonna take it off the heat for about just a couple minutes to let it settle down. All right, so we got her off the heat. Let her sit for a few minutes just to calm down a little. But you don't want to let it sit too long because you will get a skim coat that forms. If it does, you can literally just like get it started and you should be able to pick it up, literally just pick up the skim coat and dispose of it. But you want to try not to have that happen. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and pour this custard into our pan here over top of our graham cracker crust. And now that we've got it in here, we'll go ahead and we're going to make it even, across the board here. Make sure you get all the way over into the corners and all that stuff. You want it even. I think that's essential. Go ahead and give it a quick vibration there. Get it smoothed out and make sure we are even. And then I'm going to take some plastic wrap. I'm going to put it over top of this, and we're going to set it right down on top of the custard. You don't want that air gap in there. And you want to do this while it's hot, because what can happen is if you don't lay it down onto the custard, and you'll see it, you'll start getting a bunch of steam building up over top of that, and you'll get that moisture trapped in there. But this will keep it from getting the that skin layer on top, because we're not allowing any air, any moisture, or any air into the custard. So I'm going to go put this in the fridge now for at least 2 hours, if not longer. But I'm going to say at least 2 hours, because we want this to completely chill and be set. We want it to be firm, right, like a custard should be. But when I come back, we'll go ahead and make the whipped topping, the third layer that's going to go on top of this, get it on here and try some. All right, I'll see you here in just one moment. All right, guys, so our vanilla custard and graham cracker crusts are in the fridge. They're pretty much good to go. They're nice and solid. I just checked it out. So now we can make our whipped topping that we're going to put on top of that, and this is easy. Whipped topping is always easy. Now I am going to add an ingredient to this. This recipe was only 3 things, which is fine if you're eating it. Then it doesn't have a stabilizer in this recipe, so I'm going to put a stabilizer in it, which is cream of tartar, and all that does is it keeps it from deflating and breaking down within a 24-hour period. So you get an extra day or 2 out of it in case you have leftovers. But that being said, let's go ahead and get started on this. First thing I'm going to throw in this bowl, and I'm using the whisk attachment, or you can just use your hand mixer with the regular mixers, beaters, is a 1/4 cup, 30 grams of powdered sugar or confectioner sugar, depending on who you are and where you're at. Go ahead and get that in there. And then we're going to follow that up with a 1.5 cups, 360 milliliters of heavy whipping cream. Now, with the heavy whipping cream, you want that to be cold. So if you if you measure it out, but you're not going to use it right away, just go ahead and leave it in the fridge, until you're ready to use it. The colder it is, the easier it is to get it to whip. It will whip warm, but it's not always that easy. And then real quick, I'm going to throw a 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of cream of tartar in here with this, and that is my stabilizer. That way I know it's gonna stay whipped topping without breaking down for a couple days at any rate, 2-3 days. And I'm gonna whip this to a soft peak, where it just starts to bubble and starts to form my whipped topping, and then I'm gonna add 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla. And then we will kick this on high and whip these to stiff peaks. Okay, so I wanted to show you this real quick on what it looks like as far as like the starting to form peaks and when we're going to add the vanilla to it. See how it's starting to get the ribbon look into it? So now is when we want to go ahead and add our vanilla in. I don't know why that rule is, but every recipe I read tells you not to put it in until you start forming peaks. So we got that in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this on high and let it whip until we get stiff peaks. Alright, so I think we are at stiff peak. Now you can still overbeat your whipped topping, so be careful. Even though you put the stabilizer in it, there's no rule that says you can't over whip. Now you won't turn it into butter, but it'll get grainy on you. But what you're looking for is, if I can get it to do it, is, well, that's a crappy version of it, but see how it just stands up straight? I am horrible at showing that off. And now's the time you want to check. Is it grainy? Is it not? It's okay if it is. It's still going to taste like whipped topping, but it might be a little grainy. So that's okay. Best way to check, put a little on your fingers and rub it between your fingers. It should be smooth. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, let me go get the custard real quick and we will top it off. Okay, so now that I got everything rearranged and unorganized, we are going to go ahead and top our custard. But right there we are. And see how no jiggle, nice and firm. Sat a couple hours, so that means we did it right. If it doesn't firm up, chances are good you didn't let it cook long enough and get thick enough. But this was really kind of a good recipe for a custard. It led you down the right path at any rate. So now we're going to go ahead and get our whipped topping and get it on the top of this here. Okay, so I was just sitting here thinking I thought I'd share it with you while putting this whipped topping on the top. Everybody always says use a metal offset spatula or the back of a spoon to put your topping on, or what topping on or your icing. And I could never quite understand why, but I figured it out over time. I wanted to share it with you. So with a rubber spatula like the one we were using, as I sat here and spread this on, all I did was collect onto the rubber spatula, where then you have to scrape it off, right? With the offset metal spatula or the back of a metal spoon, or even silicone for that matter, it doesn't stick. And you don't have to consistently wipe off your utensil. That, I believe, is part of the reason why we do that. But now, that being said, we are nice and ready to rock and roll with our topping. There we are. So now all we have to do is get a piece cut and give her a try. All right, so getting ready to cut this, and I wanted to show you guys something real quick. This is just one piece of it, but for my birthday, we went and bought a new china set, and it's a Currier and Ives colonial set, and this is actually one of the saucer plates for coffee, but I'm gonna use it for this dessert. But I really wanted to show you guys these. So let's go ahead and get that down. And this, according to the recipe, will cut into 9 pieces. That's a fairly good sized piece. That's a 3" by 3" square, in case you're keeping track. But we will see how that goes. So let me go ahead and get this cut, and we will give it a try. This is really kind of cool. Check it out. I thought for sure it'd either fall apart or I'd make a total mess of it because I'm horrible with the first piece. I didn't either. That actually came out really nice once I got it cut. I mean, good, solid, clean. Can't argue that, not one bit. So now, all we have left to do is give her a shot and see how she tastes. I mean, that's just, I'm really proud of myself. Very rarely do I get a first shot at or getting anything out on the first try. So let me raise this up here real quick so I can see your smiling face, and you're not just missing half of mine. But let's give this a shot.
You gotta get ready for your party too. You gotta pull your hair up.
That, my friends, woo-wee. That's good. That is, yeah. We just won the Kentucky Derby good. I guarantee it. It's not overbearing on the vanilla at all. I would dare say, if anything, sorry, this is just really good. I can't quit eating it. Let me just set this down. I can feel my diabetes going crazy. But if you cut this into 9 or 12 pieces, I can see doing a strawberry slice on each one of these, and grabbing a couple blueberries and putting them with the strawberry. I think that would be a really nice setup, and both those fruits would go very well with this. But that is a really good.
That's it.
Custard, hands down. They're decorating a cake. We are celebrating Abby's birthday today. She is officially 12 years old, and you can't go wrong with turning 12. I did it once about 4 decades ago, but I remember it was a good time. So, that being said, give this a try, or if you have something similar to this that you do, you'd like to share, let us know about. Let us know down in the comments below. Either way, but I guarantee you'll like this. And there is surely enough there that you could probably invite half your friends over, neighbors. It'd be a good start to a decent get together at a small party. But that being said, I love you. I love you very much. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else you love them. You love them very much. They may need to hear it. It's gonna make them smile and feel good either way it goes. It's gonna make you smile and feel good to tell them. That I guarantee. And if you're making one of these vanilla custard, sure. One of these vanilla custard cutouts, I guarantee you will make a friend for life. This will bring an afternoon of conversation. Maybe a glass of milk, a cup of coffee, maybe something else. It just depends really on who you are and where you live, right? So, next week, no clue what we're doing for anything at the moment, but I'm sure we will get into some kind of shenanigans. Hopefully things will settle down and we won't have a bunch of orders going out. It's been nuts over the last couple weeks. But that being said, until I see you again, I love you and I will see you then. All right? See you later. Bye-bye.